What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode on this channel. As we can see, it's snowing pretty heavy right now, which means I want to be able to use my old Volvo because it's very fun to drive around in the snow in the winter. But we have a big problem. The exhaust looks like Swiss cheese. There's rust holes everywhere in the exhaust, way past the point of repair. So I simply need to bite the bullet and buy a complete new exhaust, and that's exactly what we have right here. Definitely overkill, but I went with a 2.5-inch race exhaust, which again is definitely overkill for this Volvo, but hey, why not? I need to be able to remove the stock headers from the car. The rest of the exhaust, I don't care, I can just chop it off if I need to, but I need to be able to remove the stock headers. So a couple of days beforehand, I applied some penetrating fluid and I tried to brush away as much loose rust as possible from the studs and the nuts. So I'm just letting that soak in, but I also think that we need to use heat to our advantage, so why not just start up the car, go out for some drift laps and let it heat up naturally, and then drive it into the garage and try to remove the exhaust. So here we go. So let's just hope that everything comes out as it should and I won't need to do any drilling and re-tapping. But as we can see right here, just by the second attempt I sheared off a stud, so let's see how the rest of them will go. Prepping is everything when it comes to removing an old rusted exhaust manifold like this. I can tell you that if I hadn't removed as much rust that I could from the studs and preheated everything, I would probably have snapped each and every stud on the head. So in total, 2 studs were broken. They sheared right off at the base of the nut. And I got the heat shield out in one piece. All of the bolts came right out, no problem at all. Considering this car is almost 35 years old and the OEM headers have probably never come off the car, so I'll definitely take that as a win. So let's drive it up on the lift and start to remove the entire exhaust. As we can see, the O2 wiring is pretty short, so I'll definitely need to make a longer one to compensate for the long tube headers. And let's try to disconnect the front pipe from the exhaust manifold flange. And as we can see, all 3 fasteners came right out, which is really nice. So let's go ahead and remove it where it connects to the catalytic converter. And as we can see, the flange right here is completely rotted out. So let's just go ahead and cut off what is remaining of the bolts. And then the rest of the exhaust system. As we can see, the mating surface is pretty corroded, so I'll definitely make sure to clean it the best I can. Now I really wanted to replace all of the studs, but they were so stuck that I couldn't get them out. If I were to try a bit harder, I would have snapped all of the studs, so I decided to just reuse them as it is. Now I'm going to paint this header with some high temperature ceramic paint, and what this will do is, well, first of all, it will protect it from rusting and looking ugly, but most importantly it will keep the heat contained inside of the exhaust, so that the heat does not just spread around in the engine bay, so that you keep the heat where you want it. But before I go ahead and paint it, I need to remove the factory black paint. Now I actually don't know what kind of paint that these exhausts comes with, so that's why I decided to go this route of stripping the original paint and painting them with this proper ceramic high temperature paint. So after a lot of scrubbing and me being intoxicated with some paint thinner, I've got rid of probably 90% of the factory paint that it came shipped with. So let's go ahead and apply a couple of coats of this flame-proof ceramic paint. Actually, on second thought, let's go ahead and test fit everything before I go any further. So yeah, the headers doesn't actually fit. There's just no way of getting them on. It just keeps banging against the side rail right here, and also at another spot down there. I just can't get it to align. And also I think the holes on the flanges right here are too small. There just isn't enough clearance to get it on properly and align it straight. So that's definitely a major disappointment from Simons. That's the company that makes these exhausts. It's a Swedish company here in Sweden. Yeah, I'll either have to send them back or try to figure out a solution, because I really want to just keep on going with this project. So I might just rebore the holes right here 1 millimeter or something like that, just so that I can align it and get it on. So maybe I'll try that and we'll see what happens. So there we go, drilling up the holes a little bit did the trick. Not the end of the world, not a huge deal, but still it's a bit annoying. So yeah, now that I know that it fits, let's move along with the project. Now I do want to run with a catalytic converter because I actually care somewhat about the environment, and also it's nice to not have to change out the exhaust system every time you go for an inspection, so that you pass the emissions. This is a connection pipe, or like a down pipe from the headers that I bought along with the rest of the kit. But it's just straight pipe, as we can see. This is a cat delete. So the plan is to weld on the catalytic converter right here somewhere. So I'm going to test fit it to the car and see where I should make some cuts. And oh yeah, it comes with O2 sensor fitting here with the exact same threads as the factory one, so that's really nice. The only thing I will have to do is to make the factory wiring harness from the O2 sensor a little bit longer, but that shouldn't be any problems. So yeah, let's go ahead and test fit this. So with a rough idea where the catalytic converter should be, let's go ahead and do some fabrication. So after I tacked everything in place and test fitting it one last time, I fully committed and welded it all around. Not the prettiest welds, but it'll hold up just fine, and most importantly, it won't leak. Now let's go ahead and finally paint these exhaust components. I'm only gonna paint the exhaust headers and the cat pipe because that's where most of the heat is, so I'm just gonna leave the rest of the exhaust system as it came out of the box. Now, even though I preheated the exhaust manifold the best I could, the results were still not as I would hope for, just because it was so cold this day. But yeah, it'll probably hold up fine anyways, but the finish wasn't the best. So while the paint dries on the exhaust, let's go ahead and take the opportunity to replace the engine oil and the oil filter, because it's very accessible right now. And also I am going to free up the rear brakes, because they're pretty seized up in there, because this car was sitting for most of the summer. So yeah, let's go ahead and take care of those two things. Now this helped a little bit with freeing up the brakes, but the problem still persists because the pistons inside of the calipers are sticking themselves. So I'll have to order 2 new calipers to replace in the rear. A while back ago I had a small accident, as we can see here, and I actually did this repair a while back ago, but I haven't had any chance to incorporate it to any video, so here we go. I'll show you the process right now. And while I did this repair, I took the opportunity to do a headlight wiper delete, because, well, first of all, that isn't even functioning on this car, and I don't like that function even if it were functioning properly, and I think it looks way cleaner without. Here we have the new trim piece that goes below the headlight, and as we can see, it doesn't have a hole for the headlight wiper, and that's exactly what we want, but we need to paint it in the same color as the car. For a quick rattle can job, I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. On with a brand new indicator cover. And that's the job complete. I definitely think it looks way better like this. I also thought that I would include another repair that I did a while back ago while we're on that subject, and that is to repair the trip meter or the odometer. Both were not functioning, and that is probably because a small little cogwheel inside of the instrument cluster is broken. So let's find out and see if we can replace that. And after replacing that cogwheel, it worked once again. So now that we're done with all of the side quests, let's go ahead and continue with the main mission. As we can see here, I've got brand new gaskets for the headers and some new nuts, and also I'm going to use some high temperature RTV to help along with the sealing. Now, the first time I heard about using RTV to seal an exhaust manifold, I thought it sounded pretty strange and I didn't think it would hold up, but I've seen a lot of guys using it and it actually works really well. And some anti-seize for the exhaust clamps is never a bad idea. Now I like to line up everything perfectly and then tighten all of the exhaust clamps little by little in case something moves. And there we go, the exhaust is fully mounted, but we still have one more thing to do, and that is to extend the factory O2 sensor wiring harness. So this is how it looks right now when it's extended, but we need to protect it somehow, so I added some protective tubing. I think it turned out pretty good, and as we can see here, I mounted it as close to the body as possible, but still with enough slack to allow some movement when the engine and the transmission twists during normal operation. So there we go, the exhaust is all done, so that's it for this video. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, we're gonna test start it and see how it sounds. So here we go. So there we go. I've been driving around for a little while and I think that the sound is pretty okay. It's not too loud and you can definitely hear it. Honestly, it sounds pretty similar to the previous setup with the deleted rear muffler and some exhaust leaks. But yeah, I think the sound is it's at a pretty okay level. And I really just want to take this opportunity to thank you guys for this past year. It's been really good to me this year on YouTube, and it wouldn't be possible with every one of you support. So from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate that. And that's not just something that I'm saying. It truly means the world to me. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the beginning of the next year, 2023, and I hope that will be a good year as well. So I will see you then with a new fresh video. So until then, have a really good one, guys, and I will see you then. For now, I will take this back to the garage and give it a quick clean, but you guys have seen that a million times before, so I will just end this video right here. So yeah, take care guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.